Hey guys, and thanks for tuning back into another video. In this video, I'm going to be tying a bead-headed Prince Nymph. This is going to be on a size 14 hook, made by Mustard, with the hook eye down. It's a down hook eye, whatever you want to call it. This one's on a barbed hook. I usually don't tie on barbed hooks, but that's kind of what I got right now. In this, for this one, I'm going to be using a 6/0 uni black thread. Give you a little show there, if you can see that. And then we're going to be using some lead-free round wire just for an underbody as to get more weight. Now I'm using a 3.3mm gold tungsten bead. There's already a lot of weight on the tungsten bead. You don't really need it, but I mean I find it's quite an attracting pattern. You know, it's very flashy. The peacock curls really give it kind of that little glisten kind of look. But anyways, for this lead-free wire, I'm going to be using a 0.020. That's the diameter of it. I usually use this diameter for most of my flies. I don't really go any bigger or any smaller. It's usually fits. I don't usually tie an 18 or smaller, so this is good for me. But we're going to snip off probably about 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to start tying in on. This is you probably won't even need this much really, but I usually snip off quite a lot. So you're just going to spin that right around the hook up towards the bead. And you're going to make it so that at least half of the hook shank is covered with the lead wire. You can always just flatten it out with a pair of scissors when you're done, just so that it's flush and there's no sharp points poking out there for our thread to get snapped on. What you're going to do is you're going to push that up so it's nice and tight towards the bead. We're going to grab our thread here and we're going to start it right at the back of the lead wire. I used to start it right on the lead wire, but sometimes you can't get it right to the hook, and then it just spins and you can't actually tie it on. It's just creates a big can create problems. And we're gonna go over them. We're just gonna cover this whole entire lead wrap that we did of the wire. And then for a wire, I'm going to be using a 22 gauge copper wire in a gold. You don't need very much wire, maybe again like 1.5 inches. About that. You're just going to tie that on so it's going out of the back end of it towards kind of like where a tail would be. And you're just going to let that hang down towards the vise. Then what we're going to do is we're going to grab some black goose biots. Usually people use a brown. I don't have any brown hackle and I don't have any brown goose biots right now, so I'll be using a black hackle probably, or I might use my tanned brown rooster that I got, but kind of out of options right now. Anyways, we're gonna, whatever color biot you're gonna be using, doesn't really matter. There's so many different variations to this fly, different colors, different everything. So you can kind of use whatever really you want. It's the same silhouette, it's the same pattern. So I mean, is what it is. You don't have to make the fly exactly how I'm making it. If you got the right materials to make the original, then you go right ahead. What we're gonna do is we're gonna tie 2 of them. Usually the tail, I'd say like the tail should be at least like just right from the back of the bead to the back of the hook. That should be your tail. So it's not too far, not the whole length of the biot, like a 1/2 inch, but just about half of the hook shank. You're going to tie both of these in so it creates kind of a V right at the back. And you can just tie it right up. I'm just kind of trying to add some bulk with the biots. You don't always have to snip them off right away. I usually like to add a little bit of a bulk to my flies. Now this is one of the most producing flies I do know that you can make throughout the fly tying community. It's a very popular fly. I see it all the time being tied. And it's very, very effective. The next material that we're going to be using is a peacock hurl. Usually grab about 2 hurls, put them together, tie both of them in at the base, and then you can twist them just to give it some extra bulk. Bulk is always good, but not too much. So 2 hurls, and we're just going to tie them right in there, just like we did with the wire, going right at the back, kind of like towards the tail. Just going to tie it right in. Then bring your thread, your hook, your thread right up to the back of the bead there. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to twist this, these 2 hurls without breaking them. They can be very, very fragile sometimes. That's why I like to tie them in from the base, because it's a little bit stronger than the brittle tips. Once you're done twisting those together, then you can just wrap right up towards the bead. So it makes kind of a different kind of the body. It makes it kind of like how would I say it? It looks more hairy than anything. The very, very small fibers of the peacock gives that kind of that flashy look. See, you're not even going to need really the whole hurl. I mean, I just went up to the bead and I got half the hurl left. So sometimes you can just go right back over it just to give it that extra push down. I usually go about halfway and then I can come right back up. Just because once you get to the very tip of the peacock, I break off all the time. And you're just going to tie this right in. You can snip off the excess. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your wire that you attached and tied into the hook, and you're just going to wrap over top. Again, I'm tying on a 14 size hook, so I don't really need that much wire. You can tie this up to about a size 10. Anything more than a size 10, it doesn't really look like what it's supposed to imitate anymore. Sometimes the fish can kind of think things are a little bit strange. Snip the end there after you're done tying it in. So now we look like that right now. It's looking pretty good so far. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to put in our hackle. So again, I don't have the brown right now. So I mean, I got quite the mess right now. I was just tying pike flies. So yeah, definitely comment if your tying bench is the exact same as mine. It's quite annoying, but it is what it is. Yeah, so in this case, I'm going to use some rooster cape that I got from some of my roosters. Well, family members, that is. And you're just going to want to take a very, very, very small hackle. Something that's not too long. In this case, I don't really have any dark colored ones, so they're going to be kind of white. Is what it is, though. Yeah, so they're going to be kind of white tan color, but yeah, whatever. Again, you can use whatever color you want. There's some that are completely straight black. I know there's like the Montana black Prince Nymph, which is pretty popular down south. I'm up in Canada, so we don't really have as much different variation created up here. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to take your hackle that you just tied in from the base. I like to use hackle pliers for a lot of this just because it's easy, especially with smaller type flies. Just going to clamp that on there. Then you're just going to wrap clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever you prefer. You're just going to kind of build up a little bit of a collar. Sometimes these pliers slip. And you're just going to tie that right on. Snip off the remain. Push back and fix any fibers that may be just making your day horrible. There we are. Exactly like that. So this is kind of a, you can tie it with a soft hackle. These are just, you probably can't really see the hackle there, but I will definitely show a picture in the end of the video of what it's going to look like. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take some white goose bite. And you're going to tie it right on the top of the hackle. You're going to tie it about the length of the tail. So probably about half the hook shank. Just going to tie it right on top. Now they don't really know what this imitates. They call this pattern an attractor pattern. Oh, my thread slipped there. Yeah, they call this pattern an attractor pattern. So meaning it's gets the fish's attention, especially if you're throwing like a tandem brig, for instance. You usually fish one realistic and one as an attractor. Maybe one big weighted nymph and one is a unweighted nymph. Two different things, but the Prince Nymph is always good for a kind of a lead point fly. It kind of sparks the attention, especially when they're not going after the normal looking naturals. You can always awaken a fish with a Prince Nymph, whatever color you choose. So once you're done tying those in, you can snip off the excess of those biots. And you could just tie it off. It's tricky sometimes doing it with your hands on something so small. You would usually want to use a thin diameter thread for this kind of job. Then you can add head cement or whatever you may wish. But this is the Prince Nymph. Thanks guys again for tuning in to another video and tying tutorial. If you like this video, definitely hit the like button. If you guys want to see more tutorials, drop comments, tell me what you want me to tie. Any suggestions that, how I can make my videos better, or whatever thoughts, feelings. It's always good to build up chat in the comment section. Yeah, and if you guys want to stay tuned to some more videos, different, maybe I was doing ice reports. The lake is kind of on hold right now with all the weather and everything, but I can get out and do another report if you guys want. I can start doing some fishing videos, some more fishing videos, maybe catching cooks, whatever you guys want. So just definitely smash the subscribe button below if you want to stay tuned, and thanks again to another video.